Back in July, Mr. Ben Moussa went to Tunisia to visit the Libyan refugees campus. He would be providing us with some highlights on his trip and would address the most immediate needs as he sees them. Please welcome Mr. Ben Moussa.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Osama Ben Moussa. I'm a Libyan, born and raised in the western outskirts of Tripoli. I've been a resident of Houston since 1978. I dedicate my address to the 12 Libyan officers that were summarily executed in Abu Dhabi in March when they refused to open fire on the city of Gaza. Sorry. I also dedicate my address to the 1,200 prisoners of Abu Sleep whose grave was dug up several weeks ago. Lastly but not least, I dedicate my address to the 900 innocents whose grave was found just 4 days ago in Gargash, Tripoli. May all of them be embraced in Allah's mercy, and may all be elevated to Jannat al-Firdaus. I will give you my observations of my trip and tell you a little bit about the reason why my wife and I got involved. The Gaddafi regime's brutal offensive in the Nafusa mountain region was what unleashed initially, back in April, the first wave of Libyan families into Tunisia. The United Nations High Commission for Refugees, our brothers, the Qataris, our brothers in the UAE, and the Tunisian Red Cross scrambled, literally, to handle the flood of refugees coming across the Heba border crossing in southern Tunisia. They were overwhelmed. The Tunisian population in southern Tunisia rescued a potentially dire situation by absorbing refugees into the local economy. And the role of the average Tunisian citizen in this process cannot be overemphasized. Most refugees came across the border with little or no money and with few belongings. At peak, 600,000 Libyans sought refuge in Tunisia. My wife and I were inspired by stories of Libyan expats who descended on Libya and Tunisia and provided various forms of assistance April, May, June. I traveled to southern Tunisia in July to inspect the conditions firsthand and to offer direct assistance to those that are most needy. Donations were meager. They came mostly from family and friends. At this time, visiting Tunisian clinics was almost an afterthought. The second trip was undertaken by my wife in late July, and it spanned all of August and part of September. She essentially spent Ramadan in Tataouine, Tunisia. She volunteered at the Hanan Aas Community Center for Women and Children, some of the pictures of which you've seen up here on the screen. The community center I must say, it was set up by the New Libya Foundation, a group of 3 young Libyans, resident of the United States. They just did something because they felt compelled to do something. The last 2 weeks of my wife's trip were spent in Tunis, the capital, visiting hospitals and interacting with the families of the injured. Khadija will tell you more about her trip later on in this program. The current estimates, and they vary, are 35,000 dead, twice as many injured, in a population of 6.5 million. Now, for perspective, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan resulted in 5,000 dead and 33,000 injured in a population, in a U.S. population of 300 million. Basically, we are going to be seeing people on crutches, folks, for a long time in Libya.